part three of our continually interrupted live stream on a Thursday evening. This is wonderful. We love when our stream stops midstream twice in one show. It's exactly the kind of challenge that doing it live demands.
Hoorah.
Bruh.
Hoorah. We're going to get it right one way or another. We're just going to
What?
keep going.
It's
Maybe
not.
this is how I manifested to stop trailing off in my conversations. The feed will just shut off and just shut me up.
Like
You
a
never know.
guillotine. Yeah, you're pretty good at this manifesting stuff, so who knows? So,
So we're
just to
wrapping up
finish
our.
up, last few minutes.
So did you want me to share my screen real fast so we can see the?
Sure, if you can manage, let's do
I
it.
think so. I don't think I have anything embarrassing up in the background, so I think we're good. There. I cannot
Whoa,
see.
look at that. That's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So do you want me to read it?
Read
Sure.
it.
So my opponent believes that we should spend more on education. Do you know who else thinks that? The dictator himself.
So this is guilt by association. So if you share beliefs with somebody, well, that's actually true about those people who believe in flat Earth, right? Because if somebody goes, "Oh, I believe in flat Earth," then that automatically means that none of their ideas are possibly ever valid, ever, 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 ever. Right? Which is a fallacy, the same fallacy.
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes, although they are fallacies, this is the point. Sometimes people use fallacies in a true way. And it could be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is.
I'm pretty sure that just about anybody has one belief that I will never share, and a number that we already share, and a bunch that we probably haven't explored. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I think it is one in which certainly, all these logical fallacies are ones in which we can start to ask questions. And when someone brings up something where they associate a person with one thing, and then they say, "Well, it's because look at that. They also do that." It is certainly an area to be skeptical of. To be more inquisitive of, and that's really what we're kind of trying to remind people of when it comes to all these logical fallacies. Is these are these are essentially lies from the mainstream, and like advertisers and
from the
so forth.
dictator himself.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them lies. I would call them shortcuts. Because here's another way to use this. When you're talking to someone who wants a democratic socialist government, and you ask them, well, what were the Nazis? And they don't, and be like, oh, the National Socialist Party was a Nazi. You must be a Nazi. You can use these fallacies to point out truths. But if you're just saying, well, the whole reason I don't agree with it is because the Nazis themselves also wanted to be a socialist party, you might be right, but you're also not basing your information. You're not basing your research on actual information. You're basing it on an assumption.
Association, yeah. That's why it's called guilt by association.
Well, I would just say, like in regard to advertising, for example, I think the average 30-second commercial has like four logical fallacies in it. And so it is something that is incredibly common. And so people have kind of almost incorporated into explaining their own lives and their own reasons for who they are and what they think the person is that they are. And in a lot of cases, it's based on logical fallacies, because it's so common. And so again, this is another reason that we need to really be examining ourselves and who we are, because it is really difficult in the environment that we're in to know who we are.
This fallacy is why people associate This is why me and my husband don't often use the term, well, I still do, but he doesn't, anarchy or anarchist, because of the guilt by association of the stupid Molotov dressed in black, and they are not stealing that look. I swear, if that's the last thing I do, that is not going to be the look that's associated with criminals who are burglarizing places and throwing Molotov cocktails and beating people up. It drives me crazy that they get that look, that aesthetic. But yeah, it's the same reason. Like, people, this is used in propaganda in the news all the time. It's why right now you are only seeing Trump protesters, because if you're protesting the lockdown, you must be a Trump fan.
Yeah.
They're just showing pictures of the Trump fans there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's interesting in a lot of different ways, certainly. But let's start to close this thing down. I want to remind everybody that we really, really appreciate your time and attention, and hope this is valuable. If you have any suggestions or feedback that you'd like to send us our way, feel free to do that either on our Facebook or YouTube. I also want to mention that we have a website, and you can find out more information about each one of us and what we do and all that kind of stuff. I understand we're not completely 100% with the website, and we will be working on that as we progress. But check that out, and give us feedback there too if you want.
Next week.
Well, I was actually going to give Willow a chance to talk a little bit about
what I do,
specifically what she does in regard to what people might be interested in.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna cut in there and also say something, but now I totally forgot what I was gonna say. So, like my title says, I'm a trauma consultant. Pretty much, for lack of better title, I don't know. I talk to people and help them work out their unresolved issues, whether it be a traumatic event or just something that they're struggling with and they can't seem to get past. And I seem to have had quite a bit of success in that, enough that I feel confident in making that my primary business. Like, this is what I love to do. I love to help people. Yeah, I have my own website, which I believe Agnieszka will link to it in the description. And thankfully, Agnieszka does all of that, because I don't like to mess with any of the link technology. She has to berate me all the time. Send me your links. And I also have a bio on our page, just like everyone here has a bio. So if anything resonates with you, if you feel like one of us touches on a subject that you have had trouble expressing, or you haven't had answers, feel free. And I encourage you guys, please reach out to us, because this is what we want to do. We want to help you. That's why we started this podcast, even though we just like the sound of our own voices. That's not the only reason we do it.
We're not just all narcissists. We actually are trying to help people through our own example. Yeah. So thank you so much, Willow. And definitely look forward to that. Now,
I have it.
Dennis for next week.
Yeah, it's
Dennis
mastering.
did such a great show last week. So he's got another one coming towards us. And what we're going to call it?
Mastering Challenges, Unveiling Solutions. Dun, dun. With Monday being something along the lines of what sexy fight dance can free you from slavery. So.
Okay. All right. So we are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yes.
So check us out there. And if you can't, we are on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Periscope and Twitter. And you can sign up for us, or what else?
Notifications, the bell thingy, whatever, because, people gotta find out about us one way or the other somehow.
Absolutely.
We should have a really cool sponsor, not sponsor, but like someone who's like
Coca-Cola.
You should subscribe. Well, I'm reminded, I watched Count Dankula quite a bit, and he has Alex Jones at the end of his, or he used to, at the end of his show podcast thing, and he goes, Count Dankula, everybody should subscribe, and then goes into like heavy metal, and I was like, that's so awesome. That's a really good like.
Well, do we know an
plug.
influencer who could plug for us?
We're working on that.
All right.
I don't want to reach out to Alex Jones for that.
Yeah, I'd
That'd
be
be
a little
funny.
bit hesitant.
Just in case you were curious, that's actually how he talks in real life. I've met him. It's not an act.
All right, we're going to close out this popsicle stand. Do go back to the 3 parts of today's show because, well, we had to do it in 3 parts due to technical difficulties. But you know what? All the parts are out there, and we will put the descriptions on as soon as we complete, and it shows up for us to edit. So,
Absolutely. It was a great show. I
Yes.
just wish it was in one piece.
great show
Oh,
in
well.
3 parts. And now
Maybe that's what it needed. They needed to digest that part, and then this part, and then the last part.
That's right.
Maybe
So
we go.
I'm going to
Maybe
play
we
the
can-
Reason for
outro.
everything.
I'm going to play the outro, and we're going to say goodbye. All right,
All right.
children,
Aw.
let's do this. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Kelly. Bye.